So how did you initially get introduced to like hardcore drugs? You said you were in high school.
Yeah. Right? Oh yeah. I mean, by the time I was in high school,
just some homies like, hey, give this a shot.
Yeah, man. I just think that, I mean, part of being an addict and alcoholic, I think that you just like there's something, whether you want to consider your environment or your genetics. I mean, there's something that I always kind of felt less than. I always felt different than other people. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. It was like, I think that's what kind of falls in the genetic part for me. And so, I mean, like when I was introduced to drinking and drugs, it was like that missing piece. You know what I'm saying? It's like I did it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm good looking enough, I'm funny enough, I'm witty enough. The girls love me. You know what I'm saying? Like I was like boo boo boo, like instantly. So I was like, of course. I was like, what's next?
It's like hyper.
You know what I'm saying? I was like, oh dude, LSD is awesome. You know what I'm saying? What's ecstasy like? Well, let's go get some. You know what I'm saying? And then it was like, you know, cocaine, methamphetamine, heroin. I mean, it just for me. You know what I'm saying? It went, by the time I left high school, I mean, I kind of covered the whole gamut. And the catalyst for me, even though I started getting into drinking and drugs my 8th grade summer, I always had trouble.
Wait, eighth grade,
yeah. A little marijuana, a little alcohol. And yeah, it's funny because I've got a 7th grader now, and I'm like, dude, look at this kid. You know, he still hold my hand and stuff going to the grocery store. You know what I'm saying? Like an awesome kid, likes to play violin and all this stuff. I'm like,
you must have
got that from his mom. You know what I'm saying? But like for me, I always struggle with my academics. You know what I'm saying? And no pass, no play always kept me off of being an athlete. You know what I'm saying? Because I was an athlete first and foremost. But I would make the basketball team, and then that report card would come out, and I would fail math, and it would just happen to me over and over and over. So being an athlete, not being able to hang out with the athletes, all my friends, I just kind of went to the next little group of people. You know what I'm saying? And those were some people I like to party, and so I was like, well, I'm going to become good at this. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what I like to do. You know, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it good. You know
100%.
Yeah, 100%. You know what I'm saying? And so yeah, that was just a cat. And then the next year would come, and I'd fail off of my sports, and the drugs. Graduate high school, my friends went to the universities. I went to the junior college, started hanging around different people. The addiction kept taking a farther step. Then I failed out of local, junior college, and dropped down another group of people and another group of people. And it just, when I finished up, when I was at my jumping off point, I was all by myself. I would go get drugs or alcohol and go back to my house and just lock myself away in the house. So what started off as this like fun thing where I was like entertaining and, putting the parties together in high school, and, the cool popular kid to, 10 years, 12 years later, I'm, shooting drugs in my arm, locked up in my house, 170 pounds. I'm 220 now. You know what I'm saying? I was 170 pounds when I sobered up, with a big raccoon circles under my eyes and ghostly white and just dirty. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, like the full on, real
what
deal.
Sobered you up? Because you said you were doing that run for about 10 years?
At least, yeah. I've been sober longer now than I used. So I used probably for I think 14 years. So I sobered up August 25th of 04. It's my sobriety date. And I was just health problems. I was having health problems, and the criminal justice system was it was tightening in on me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was like, I'm going to go to prison, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm on that probation, and I can't stay sober to pass the UAs. I couldn't stay sober. I knew I had to go report to felony probation that next morning, and I'd do drugs all night. I'd be like coming to and be like in panic. You know what I'm saying? Like, what am I? What happened? What am I doing? Oh my gosh, am I gonna have to take a UA? A drug test? I mean, like just tripping out, knowing I had to be there that next morning to do a drug test. Yeah. And I stayed up all night. And so like they're like, you're going to prison. You know what I'm saying? And I had some other health issues from my drug use, and that was kind of like the point where I was like, okay, get sober or go to prison. I was like, I think I'm going to get sober. And that was for me. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
did your family know about this drug?
Yeah. I mean, I was the only child, you know what I'm saying? Right. So like, it was very evident, you know what I'm saying? Like I was like my oldest son, sweet, loving, mama's boy. My mom raised me. Parents stayed married, still married, you know what I'm saying? Had a good life, never wanted for anything. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't like I came from the household where I was abused or sexually abused or poor or not the right color or any of that kind of stuff, right? I mean, I had 2 cars in high school. You know what I'm saying? I had the Z Cavaricis, the Jabodes, you know what I'm saying? All the cool clothes, you know what I'm saying? Ran with the cool hot chicks and had all the popular people, but like I just, you know, fell off in the drug stuff, you know what I'm saying?
Your parents didn't deal with it?
I mean, you know, so the answer, yeah.
Well, had they had a drug history? Or
my
alcohol
dad
history,
was always a heavy drinker. They talk about in AA, you have like, there's like 3 stages of drinker, you know. Was it heavy? Shit, I can't think of the damn heavy alcoholic. There's 3 stages of it. But he was always very successful, you know what I'm saying? He liked to drink, you know what I'm saying? But like he always, you know, showed up. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if it's a generational deal or what it was. Moderate, heavy alcoholic. That's the 3 phases that 12 steps talk about. And I'm not there to judge anybody, whether, you know, you're whatever, you know what I'm saying? That's for you to decide, you know what I'm saying? So with him, you know, but that's where I think if the genetics came from. His mom, my dad, they were all big drinkers, and I think it was acceptable, you know what I'm saying? But I don't think they just quite knew what I was getting into or was going to get into. Yeah.
Did they confront you about it when they noticed it?
Yeah. Yeah. They stepped in and.
But I've got it under control.
I mean, I think by the time they looked up, I was just, it was like, I think it was way past go by that point.
You know, it's interesting. My wife's brother 2 nights ago died of a heart attack. 29, I think.
Yeah.
Or no, I'm sorry, 39. He was an accomplished swimmer, like Junior Olympics kind of thing, right? Parents were both physicians, life of privilege, and just got wrapped up in the wrong scene and caught up, right? You know what I'm talking about. And you've always got it under control.
So you don't.
Been to therapy a few times, and he's got 3 kids, right? And his ex-wife, the kid's mom, they divorced a few years ago, but she kept him, you know, because it's that back and forth. I'm good now. It's this like manic phase, right? You kind of sober up a little bit. You got under control. You had an epiphany, and now I'm good, right? You got some things in your environment somewhat solidified. You got some control, right? Which is what that is. It's a control thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
So taking the drug is a control. Like, this is on my terms. Like, I'm going to take this. Yes, it's a Band-Aid, but this is on my term.
Yeah.
Right. And my wife, bless her heart, she just couldn't handle it. She just like broke off communication with him. My wife's dad is the one that really kept trying to help him in the best way he knew how. But, you know, it's really difficult when you're a family trying to help your child, you know. And it was a friend that found him, blue, right? Had a cardiac arrest. Not sure. Yeah. Don't know. He'd gone to the ER the night before, apparently. But, you know, whatever, was like, you're fine. And then...
I'm going to slip out this jacket, bro.
Yeah. And it's sobering, you know. You know, when you, as a family, you do all you can, and which is the tragic end to a lot of these stories, unfortunately, you know. And I mean, you see like the show Intervention, when people are like, you know, the family's just done. Yeah. You know, and it's like either, you know, you go get help or we're out.
You have to be. You know,
which is kind of where my wife was. Yeah. Right. I was kind of that way with my mom, being manic depressive, bipolar, violently abusive, just crazy, tumultuous life. In my mom's history, alcoholism, depression, suicide. And I remember I lived in fear a lot because I kept waiting for like something in life to be that trigger that would either put me into that situation I'd end up in, you know, using alcohol or drug, smoking, all that shit scared me. I was a cyclist from the age of like 12. So anything like that scared the shit out of me. Right. Of course, I wasn't around people that, you know, were drug users or anything, but alcohol was a thing. Yeah. My parents didn't have it in the house, but I've been to parties in high school, you know, drinking Everclear and, you know, but, you know,
how'd my car get home?
That did happen. Like, I do not know how I got home, but my mom knew I was drunk and waking me up with a vacuum cleaner, right? Like, dear God, shut the world off. Right. But I had to watch my mom just being so manic and just the back and forth growing up. I just was like, I'm done. Like, I told my dad, I'm like, this your wife, you got to deal with it. I don't want to deal with this shit anymore. Like, you're not my responsibility.
No,
right.
Kid.
And at the same time, it's like, it's my mom. And then, you know, like my wife, you know, having to just cut off from her brother, and, you know, it's killing her right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, nobody in the family is, on one hand, it's a relief because he struggled so long back and forth, and it just, you know, just this hard thing. Don't mean to make this about my situation, but
it's how it rolls. That's how the combo goes.
It's like the tragic end that you came to a point where you were able to at least make a decision to go, I got to stop this, for whatever repercussion was you were in fear of. But it was like, I can't keep going down this road. Right.
Yeah. I mean, for me, yeah, I mean, this is my 4th time to get sober, you know, so, I mean, I originally sobered up in 01, January of 01. And then, you know, I went out, and it just, you know, they talk about, you know, it gets worse every time, you know what I'm saying? I mean, like, how much worse could it get? I mean, I was a Skeletor, you know, bag of bones, you know what I'm saying? IV drug user, you know, how much lower could it go? And they got, every time I went out, I would like crash through that bottom.
What made it stick? For you?
I mean, like for me, you know, I'd met my now wife when I was out on one of my relapses. You know what I'm saying? I'd been doing good. I was 18 months sober, and I remember I was like, you know, the car and the job, and like I was like, man, I just need this girl. You know what I'm saying? I need just to complete me, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I'm
doing so good. By the way, like,
yeah, Suzette's she's a.
You don't want to mess with her in a dark alley either, man.
Yeah, she's a force to be reckoned with. Yeah. And so, like, I was like, yeah, I got all this to offer somebody else now, you know, because I loved myself again, right? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, that, of course, you know, for me, I was like, well, how do you meet girls sober? You know, I just didn't know. I hadn't ran, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like,
I don't know this formula.
Go start drinking again. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, right out the door. And, of course, for me, it was never about drinking, you know. It wasn't ever about smoking weed, which I told myself when I was like, I'm just going to smoke a little pot. You know, I'm not on probation no more. I'm just having a couple of drinks like the old man after work. And then I'd just be like, I mean, gone on drugs within days.
It's a slippery slope of justification. Right?
Yeah. So when in between that 3rd and 4th time, I met Suzette, and when I decided to start partaking, when she figured out who I was, when I kind of took the mask off, I was like, hey, I'm really a recovering addict alcoholic. And she's like, oh my God, but I love you. You know what I'm saying? And then, of course, I was like, yeah, I'm just going to do a little of this. And she's like, no, you're not. And I was like, yes, I am. And she was like, see you later. And she left. You know what I'm saying? And I just jumped off the cliffside, and you know, that was back when the texting was the T9, the 11115557. You know, you'd have to press all the buttons to send a text. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man, kids don't realize texting was effort then.
It's like 3333445. You know, we were trying to send out a text message T9, and
I just sent boobs.
Yeah,
you know, that was as creative as I would get.
Yeah,
BOODS.
Oh, so I'm texting and calling and emailing, and she's never responding. So, you know, my birthday of 04, August 14th of 04, I was whooping it up in Austin, drinking and drugging and all that with a bunch of people. And she texted me and was like, hey, life's a choice, Elliott. And she said a couple other things, but I just remember that one part. I remember being like, damn, like I hadn't heard from her in 7 months, like at all. You know what I'm saying? And I was seeing other people. I'm sure she was too. And I say seeing other people, you know, that lifestyle. But I called her on the way home from Austin. And I was like, oh, yeah, things are great. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing so good. And like, I'm just like, you know what I'm saying? Just that skin and bones and just, you know, looking terrible. And like, my life is completely falling apart. And she's like, hey, I'm going to be in Houston for work. And that was kind of the segue. So I was like, oh, you know, here's my chance. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of got me back on track initially until I wanted to do it for myself. You know, without getting into the whole story.
Right.
That's kind of, she came to Houston and then saw me and was like, whoa, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm doing good. You know, I'm like, once again, 170 pounds, you know, bag of bones. And you know, she's kind of like, oh, you know, because she was successful, you know, college graduate, you know, working for, you know, Fortune 500 company, you know what I'm saying? I mean, like, she's like, you know, sometimes I don't know how I ended up with her, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? So, but anyway, that was her little project, her little puppy she brought home. Mom, can I keep it? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so, you know, that was kind of the catalyst. And, you know, I got sober and, you know, we got married and had kids, and, you know, and that kind of, you know, we did, I guess, what everybody in America, you know, how you do it, you know, you graduate high school and go to college and get married and have kids and retire from your job and play with grandkids, and then you die. I'm trying to rewrite that now.